I'm back. Rhodes Rants on Star Wars. So, it occurs to me, last night, I posted a video about the Last Jedi petition, right? And one of the supporters of my channel, Everything Star Wars, asked me a question. And he says, what's the thing you hated the most about The Last Jedi? And I thought, Number one, I was thinking, I don't know that I can break it down to one thing. And then it occurred to me that my original review, I actually did in my car. And it wasn't the greatest review in the world. I think it's funny. And I was pissed in the review. But the video quality, I just wasn't real happy with. So, I said, let me turn this into a little bit of a project video, right? So, The Last Jedi. Was there one thing I hated about it the most? Honestly, I can probably say no. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about here is there are actually, and I've got a list here that I made, 31 things that I disliked about The Last Jedi. Yes, there are 31 things I fucking hated in this movie. And I'm just going to go down the list, and I may talk about it a little bit, I may talk about it a lot, I may not talk about it at all. But I'll point it out and say, hey, these are the reasons. And when I get to the end, I'll actually tell you a couple of things I actually liked about the movie. So, this is all things that I believe Rian Johnson / Kathleen Kennedy shit the bed on, right? Number one, they've turned Hux into a bumbling buffoon. I hate this. I think Hux had potential. He was never going to step in front of Kylo, and that's just because of Kylo's actual literal power of the Force. But from a perspective of somebody who had some military leadership and seemed to be ruthless enough to possibly carry it out, he seemed like a fitting number 3 to Snoke, Kylo. In fact, it was kind of nice that to a point, Snoke treated Kylo and Hux as equals in The Force Awakens, and of course The Last Jedi shit on that. So that was the first thing that bothered me about The Last Jedi. And these are in no particular order. Number 2, forced humor into serious moments. I don't understand. Now, Star Wars is known for having its moments of humor, right? It's throughout the movies. I've always said Harrison Ford delivers Star Wars humor like no other individual ever. Facial expressions, he just knew how to do it. But all of the movies had good humor in it. Even some of the cringy stuff in the prequels came across smoother and more flowing than it does in The Last Jedi. It is forced into the movie. It's like, boom, Dumb and Dumbers just showed up in some serious moment, right? And some of these will tie to each other. Just a couple examples of forced humor. Poe Dameron's Verizon cell phone moment at the beginning of the movie. Can you hear me? I'll hold. I hated it. I'm sorry, I hated it. Kylo's shirtless scene. I guess some might say that's not supposed to be humorous. If it's not humorous, then it's just fucking creepy. So, okay, I don't know. Number 3, and this is one when I'm sitting in the theater that I literally was like, I turned to my wife and said, what just happened? Luke tossing away the lightsaber at the beginning of the movie. This lightsaber had all kinds of significance, obviously, in Star Wars lore, particularly in A New Hope, as, you know, Obi-Wan hands Anakin's lightsaber to Luke Skywalker. And he just tosses it over his shoulder. And my other issue with that is that was such a big, and we'll get to this, big plot build-up moment from The Force Awakens that we waited an entire Force Awakens movie for. And Rian Johnson fucking shit on us. I literally did not know what was happening at that moment. I thought, what am I watching here? Did that just happen? Why did that just happen? So that was number 3. Number 4. The demeaning of men by female characters for reasons that cannot be justified in the plot. Admiral Holdo. Just browbeating Poe Dameron to death. It's terrible. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. I think that's been beat to death, but it's valid. Bombs dropped into space. Fucking gravity? Next. Rose seems like a forced character into the plot for the sake of diversity. And it's a poorly written character. I have said, Rian Johnson could have put a wonderfully strong Asian character in this movie. Rose Tico was not it. And the character is useless overall. In the overall scheme of the plot, the character is useless. And there's a moment in the movie where Finn could have been a big hero, and she even took that away. We'll get to that. Number 7. Making established new characters from The Force Awakens basically useless in the big scheme of things. Poe is there to be demeaned. Finn goes on a useless side mission. Finn is denied redemption moment at the end of the movie when he's flying into the laser. He could have saved the Resistance, and Finn's character in this movie would have been saved. That would have been a great historic Star Wars moment. Rian Johnson took it away from us. Guy that does not know Star Wars. It was a huge character building win. And Rian Johnson had so many wins in this movie that he could have had. And I don't understand. I mean, he subverted expectations for the sake of subverting expectations. And and that's been beat to death. I understand that, but it's just ridiculous. Not following through on storylines that The Force Awakens set up. Right? Snoke's death, no backstory, Rey's family lineage, i.e., how about we find out why Maz Kanata told Rey the lightsaber calls to you? Instead, we got Maz Kanata in some kind of a hologram in the middle of some kind of battle. And y'all talking about some, yeah, you're going to need a code breaker. You want to talk about shoehorning a character into a fucking movie? Maz Kanata was like, here, let me just get her in some kind of way. So we can make a toy and put it out there for no one to buy, by the way. Let's see, what else? Knights of Ren, where the fuck are you? Who knows? We got Praetorian Guards, but we've got no Knights of Ren. Basically, Rian Johnson shit all over J.J. Abrams. Kevin Smith once said in his review that there were numerous fuck yous to J.J. Abrams in this movie. And, I mean, there's a lot of things that can be said, but I have said it was the easiest alley-oop of a movie to make for Rian Johnson, and this guy fucked it up. Useless and obvious political messages throughout the movie, a.k.a. Canto Bight. Animal cruelty, death to capitalism. Oh, and by the way, gambling is bad. Okay, well, the average person knows animal cruelty is wrong. We are an animal rescuer. I lean left politically. And I did not appreciate these fucking messages in this movie. You know why? Because I don't want political messages in a Star Wars movie. I don't give a fuck if you're right or left. I don't want to fucking see that shit in my Star Wars movies. I don't. I go to the movies to get away from all the surrounding horse shit of the day. And Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy fucked that up. The destruction of arguably the most optimistic Jedi ever, Luke Skywalker. Where is Luke in this movie? Not letting Luke return at the end in physical form in battle? Oh my God. Not giving him a true lightsaber battle. And somebody explain to me why again Luke needed to die at the end of this movie? I don't understand. This is the middle of a trilogy. The middle. Okay. This is one that has bothered a lot of people from the get-go of the Star Wars trilogy, sequel trilogy. Rey has had no training. I gave her a pass as being a really badass bitch in The Force Awakens. With the assumption that she was, one, going to be a somebody. Listen, have Qui-Gon Force Ghost in, or Yoda, or somebody Force Ghost into Rey, and be like, or to Luke even, so he has a frame of reference and the audience does. Listen, this chick's got the highest midichlorian count ever. Give me some reason why this motherfucker is so good at everything. That's all I'm asking. Some reason why this bitch is so good at everything. She gets no training. I gave her a pass for whipping Kylo's ass in The Force Awakens. At the end of the day, Chewbacca did shoot his ass right in the fucking stomach with that bow caster, right? And we saw what that bowcaster did to a stormtrooper in that movie. So, Kylo's wounded. He's already... Rey gets the best of him. She can fly the Millennium Falcon. I don't give a shit about that. We don't know if this chick has flew 10 ships for all we know. We don't know that. Okay? I do think we should find out. So, we flash forward to this film and we get no explanation of why she's so good at everything. We go an entire middle movie without any training of actual significance whatsoever. Now I've got a problem with her Mary Sue-ness, as everybody else does. I don't get it. And the bitch whips Luke Skywalker's ass. Not a chance. Again, Rian Johnson doesn't know Star Wars. You will hear me say this many times in a lot of my videos. It has been reported many times now over the last 3 or 4 months that for the sake of Rian Johnson's next Star Wars trilogy, which I don't understand why the fuck Disney ain't canceled, that he is trying to figure out what Star Wars means. Number one, if you didn't know what Star Wars was, why did you make a Star Wars movie? You already made a Star Wars movie, and arguably the most significant one. It's a saga film. And you say you don't understand Star Wars. What does it mean? So the guy doesn't understand, and I know this guy has said he's a Star Wars fan. I don't fucking buy that. I don't believe Rian Johnson's a Star Wars fan. I don't believe that a Star Wars fan can sit down and write the movie in the way he wrote it, and treating all these characters in this manner, I don't know that you can, either that or you're just a fucking contrarian. Something, right? Something's wrong with that dude. Okay. Admiral Holdo flexes nuts on a man. I've got a whole video coming off my old channel onto this channel about that. Purple hair put in there, obvious political message. Get in your place, Poe. Sit down, shut the fuck up. No big deal that you just blew up Star Killer Base. You're a piece of shit. Get out of my way. That relates to this. Rian Johnson, you had so many easy wins in this movie, and as a Star Wars fan, you didn't have the foresight to think, I should give a beloved Star Wars character a fitting end to his involvement in the saga, that character being Admiral Ackbar. Why is, now that when I was doing this today, I literally thought to myself, wow, Admiral Holdo literally did not need to be in this movie. All of her character points, plots, and dialogue could have been delivered by Admiral Ackbar. Instead, Rian Johnson kills him off the screen, and Ackbar could have been the one to triumphantly fly that ship into all the Star Destroyers. And then we have sent Admiral Ackbar off with a fitting end to his character. He's a hero. He lives in Star Wars lore forever. The triumphant Admiral Ackbar. Instead, we literally created a shitty feminist political character, Admiral Holdo, and we killed Admiral Ackbar as a side note off screen. Rian Johnson does not know Star Wars. Captain Phasma. I mean, at this point, Captain Phasma makes Boba Fett look like Darth Vader. I mean, this has got to be the most oversold, underutilized character in the history of Star Wars. And in fairness, that includes The Force Awakens as well. But, Disney, you wanted a strong female character. You had Captain Phasma. And you know what? You could tell that bitch was bad. Gwendolyn Christie is an excellent actress. I have seen every episode of Game of Thrones. You had the ability to make her a large, significant part of Star Wars lore. And even more impressive, a villain female. And you fucked that up. She got, what, 9 minutes of screen time between both movies? What a wasted... If they would have taken the time that they used to come up with all these other characters and put them into, you know, just eliminated them and put effort into the character development of the characters you introduced in The Force Awakens, you would have had a good movie, right? It does rub me the wrong way. I mean, she could have been the true henchman to Kylo Ren and Hux, right? And she should have lived into the next film, so then that she could have battled with Finn, because Finn and her had this Han Boba Fett thing going. Then they could have fought, and then she could have died in episode 9. The same fight scene set up somewhere in another location would have been plenty sufficient, right? However, there's more I can get to that too. Okay. I've touched on this a lot of times, right? Rian Johnson visibly does not understand Star Wars. This is one that rubs me so wrong. And that's maybe because I am so passionate about Han Solo as a character. He's my favorite character. I did not realize there were so many Luke Skywalker fans out there. I thought it was, and I actually saw a poll, and technically Han was more popular than Luke, but it wasn't by much. It was by like 3% or something. There was a scene in this movie that Rian Johnson actually shot, and it's in the deleted scenes where Luke is mourning Han Solo. And I put it in one of my videos. I may put it in this video. And that movie is so, that scene is so powerful. And it's so significant. And it's part of true Star Wars character development. It is the only time that for a brief minute I believe Rian Johnson knows Star Wars, until we realize it and we look back and realize you did not put it in the movie. But you felt Luke Skywalker milking space teats has a stronger place in this movie than Luke mourning Han. You know, Rian Johnson, you wonder why all these Star Wars fans are upset with you. It's ignorant decisions like that as to why we are pissed. It doesn't make any sense. Again, you do not know Star Wars. Let's just be honest. The Last Jedi almost feels like a parody of a Star Wars movie. It feels like a generic sci-fi movie, something more along the lines of The Fifth Element, except at least The Fifth Element was a good movie. You know, he shot an unfinished scene of Finn and Phasma fighting, and it actually was a better shot than the shot that ended up in the movie. Now, the special effects aren't done on that scene, but the character interaction is better. He didn't feel that. He picked the other scene. Who the fuck knows what this guy is going through his damn mind? Quality character interaction is what Star Wars is about. Okay, the character of DJ. At least you didn't end up being Lando Calrissian, because you'd have been a traitor, according to Rian Johnson. I mean, Benicio del Toro is a great actor. He's completely pissed on and wasted in this movie. Yoda shows up. Now, I'll tell you, in my original review, I actually liked the fact that Yoda showed up. And it was good. It was good for a pop in the theater. It was the only time on that Thursday opening night preview that there was any real crowd interaction. Okay? The crowd loved that moment. By the way, it was dead silent when the movie was over. Unlike The Force Awakens, we had people in the theater that literally stood up and clapped at the end of The Force Awakens. But